ladies and gentlemen, this here is the fraud of all frauds. Gullible John and Reggie the Rat Wright Jr. over at Bomb1st attempt to implicate Tupac Shakur in the murder of Randy Stretch Walker by way of a what is supposed to be a song lyrics that are allegedly Tupac's song lyrics, but it is not in Tupac's handwriting, ladies and gentlemen. Therefore, it is not true or not real. But that didn't stop them from trying to convince you and the world that Tupac allegedly put a hit on Randy Stretch Walker. Ladies and gentlemen, I got Tupac's real words, and they don't come from a song in regards to Randy Stretch Walker. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to stop the fraud and stop the madness. Let's get into some of this straight game.
Life is like the cards. It's not what you dealt, but how you play it. Play each situation correctly. I remember they used to laugh at a brother.
Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. It's your boy Delray Richardson, platinum artist, platinum songwriter, Straight Game TV. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your time. Do me a favor, click on what appears to be the little bell notification. Also, subscribe to the channel. And like I said, you know, we're going to get into some of the straight game, ladies and gentlemen, because this has just gotten out of hand. I mean, for the lack of having any kind of substantive material, Reggie the Rat Wright Jr. and Gullible John have tried to now implicate Tupac Shakur in the death of Randy Stretch Walker by way of a fake lyric sheet that is not written by Tupac, that are not Tupac's own handwritten words. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to end it with that. It's not Tupac's handwritten lyrics. Somebody supposedly gave somebody something. Therefore, the credibility is zero. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to get into it like this. So listen to this, ladies and gentlemen. The fake document that's floating around online, pushed by Reggie the Rat Wright Jr. on the YouTube channel Bomb1st. The same folks known for twisting narratives, doctoring paperwork, and running smear campaigns against anybody who exposes them, right? When you look at this letter, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to check it out. When you look at this letter, this is crazy, man. When you look at this letter right here, right? And like I said, this is the smaller one. Let me black out this letter right here. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not Tupac's handwriting, right? There is a highlighted part in this letter basically saying something in reference to Tupac allegedly putting a hit on Randy Stretch Walker, if you will. Like I said, I won't even go into reading it, but most importantly, ladies, this is it's made to appear to be Tupac's handwriting. So if you didn't know Tupac's handwriting, ladies and gentlemen, you would think that this was Tupac's hand. This is not Tupac's handwriting. As a matter of fact, when you understand and you know that you're able to decipher. See, most people aren't able to discern, right? Have a discerning enough eye in reference to what that is and what that means. But this is not Tupac's handwriting. And so when you understand that, Tupac's handwriting is it's vastly different from that perspective, if you will, right? When you think about understanding and seeing it, Tupac's handwriting is a little bit tighter. It's more upright, cursive style, smooth and fast strokes, with a strong pen pressure, if you will. The characteristics, with that loop T and G formation, distinct spacing between the words and lines, more fluid structure, often switching between cursive and print mid-sentence. By contrast, the handwriting in this image, ladies and gentlemen, uses a looser, uneven block style, shows inconsistent slant and size between words, has letter shapes that don't match Tupac's verified samples, especially the U, the R, and the K, right? it lacks the confidence and rhythm that's typically of Tupac's writing, ladies and gentlemen. This is a mere imitation or a bad reproduction. We don't even know if it's really Tupac's lyrics, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just going to tell you, like, we don't know if this is Tupac's lyrics, right? There's nothing that confirms it. There's nothing that proves. But even though so, right? Reggie the Rat Wright Jr. and Gullible John did a video basically trying to say that this letter that is not even of Tupac's handwriting is something that basically proves somehow, some way that he was involved in the death of Randy Stretch Walker. And let me show you what that part of it is. Right here, it says, when you done getting, I got another crew to get to murder out. I put a hit on the dead squad and like basically put a hit on Stretch Walker, right? You know what I mean? I got to make this a little bit. I got to make it a little bit bigger so I can read it. Right? Like I said, this is ridiculous. Right, here you go. Here you go. Say, when you through, I got another crew to murder I put a hit on the dead squad and killed Stretch, right? Ladies and gentlemen, this is not Tupac's handwriting. I'm going to say it again. This is not Tupac's handwriting. And so just to give you Tupac's actual words in regards to this situation here, because, you know, when they tell the story, they try to tell it with such mystique as if Reggie the Rat Wright Jr. knows something about something in regards to that. But I'm going to show you something that Reggie the Rat Wright Jr. actually knows about that he has yet to comment about. But before I do that, I'm going to give you this. Check this out. Like I said, this is not Tupac's handwriting. This is Tupac's words, though, right? This is from 1996 Source magazine interview, right? And the question was, and what about you and Stretch from the Live Squad, right? And Tupac basically says, Stretch was my closest dog, my closest homie. I did a lot of drama. I got into a lot of cases and shit because of Stretch. Money-wise, he could have had anything. His daughter was my daughter. Whatever she wanted, she could have. And then this shit happened, and the nigga didn't ride for me. He didn't do what your dog is supposed to do when you get shot up, basically. When I was in jail, the nigga never wrote me, never got at me. His homeboys was coming to see me, and he wasn't even coming to see me. And he started hanging around with Biggie after this. I'm in jail, shot up, his main dog, and he hanging out, going to shows with Biggie. Both these niggas never came to see me, right? And so then you get into the question and said, and before he passed, the question was, you never got a chance to talk to him. Tupac said, ain't no words. The rules of the game are self-explanatory. After all, he said, after all that went down, people are trying to say it was some sort of hit connection, right? And this is what Tupac said. Tupac says, nah, know what happened? The rules of the game, what goes around comes around, right? Reggie the Rat Wright Jr. and Gullible John. Tupac says, what goes around comes around. I never had no violent thoughts towards Stretch at all. It just didn't. He said, I just didn't want to fuck with him no more. But I didn't want to kill him. He was my dog. Once you my dog, you my dog. He got shot just like I got shot. Everybody believed it was just a random robbery when I got shot, right? This nigga get killed now. Random shit don't happen. You see what I'm saying? So Tupac saying when he got shot, you know, people was like, you know, it was a random robbery, right? And Stretch gets shot, you know, now they all of a sudden say random shit don't happen and trying to basically blame it on him once again. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Tupac's actual words, right? There are two methods of fighting. The one by law and the other by force. The first method is that of men. The second is of beasts. But as the first method, he said, but as the first method is often insufficient, one must recourse to the second, right? Ladies and gentlemen, those are Tupac's actual words. Reggie the Rat Wright Jr. and Gullible John putting up a letter that's not of Tupac's handwriting, ladies and gentlemen, is beyond irresponsible. It's beyond disrespectful. And to try to put up something that is not even his handwriting, that associates or tries to accuse him of being involved with the hit on Randy Stretch Walker, is totally irresponsible, defamatory at best of somebody who is not even here. I told you before that Tupac never dealt with Reggie the Rat Wright Jr. Gullible John never met Tupac Shakur. Once again, but consistently keep trying to speak about Tupac's business and keep getting it wrong. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to show you again. This is not Tupac's handwriting. Point blank, period. It's not his handwriting. Gullible John even admits in the beginning of the video that it's not Tupac's handwriting. So what do we have here? If it is a copy, a reproduction, or imitation, or at best some kind of generated image, we don't even know, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said once before, this right here is Tupac's actual spoken words in regards to the Randy Stretch Walker situation. But let me tell you this, because see, a lot of times people talk about other people's business to prevent them from talking about theirs. Ladies and gentlemen, that's not a real Tupac handwriting or letter or song that we know of, that we've heard any lyrics to, point blank, period. But let me show you what is real. Ladies and gentlemen, you see this right here? This right here is a real document. This right here is a copy of Reggie the Rat Wright Jr.'s proffer agreement that he did, that he offered to the United States Attorney's Office, right? In regards to the notorious B.I.G. Assassination, ladies and gentlemen, right? And this is dated April 14th, 2009. Why did Reggie the Rat Wright Jr., this is the question that he had, why did he get a proffer deal in regards to the murder of notorious B.I.G., ladies and gentlemen? This is what he didn't and has not answered, right? And let me show you this. I know why. And I'm going to show you. See, these are real documents right here. These are not, this is nothing fake. Ain't nothing fake about this. This is the real deal, right? And so now, Reggie the Rat Wright Jr. is trying to implicate Tupac in a murder based on a fake lyric sheet that's not Tupac's handwriting, and basically trying to say that Tupac somehow, some way wrote this and somebody copied it, reproduced it, an imitation. Ladies and gentlemen, point blank, period, under any kind of test or scrutiny test, these this right here, this right here is not Tupac's lyrics. This is not Tupac's handwriting. In a court of law, this would not stand up. You could not use this to convict Tupac Shakur. It's not his handwriting. Point blank, period. So the irresponsible nature of someone trying to say that this was something that he wrote that he didn't write because it's not his handwriting is crazy. It's crazy. Once again, I told you, this is Tupac's words, talking about the Stretch situation when asked the question by the Source magazine in 1996. Ladies and gentlemen, check that. But this right here, this is a real legal document, right? And you know why it came about? Why that came about? That came about because of this document. Because of this document, ladies and gentlemen. This document right here is Reggie the Rat Wright Jr. actually getting caught in bankruptcy fraud. That's why Reggie the Rat Wright Jr., right, did this document right here. I'm sorry, this document right here. Reggie the Rat Wright Jr. got caught up in bankruptcy fraud. And to get out from that, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. Bankruptcy fraud, and just so that you understand, look, bankruptcy fraud carries a 5-year prison sentence and basically a $250,000 fine. Right? Reggie the Rat Wright Jr. would have the world think that he settled some kind of bankruptcy fraud ordeal with the federal government by saying, I'm broke. That's not how it works, ladies and gentlemen. And so, when caught up, check it out now. When caught up with this, on April 3rd, 2008, the trustee filed an adversary action entitled Richard K. Diamond, Chapter 11 trustee versus Reginald L. Wright. An adversary number is an adversary number because Reggie the Rat Wright Jr. committed bankruptcy fraud. And look at the date once again, because see, once again, trying to talk about some lyrics that are fake that ain't Tupac didn't write. No, let's stay on topic. The topic is this. April 3rd, 2008, charged. Adversary number 208, ladies and gentlemen, 01368. Reggie the Rat Wright Jr., the trustee, alleged that the action that prior to the petition date, the debtor fraudulently transferred the subject transfer right, commercial real estate property right. He tried to transfer the property into an LLC, ladies and gentlemen. He got caught. That's fraud. That's 5 years and a $250,000 fine. The government want theirs. They want theirs. You can't just tell them, I'm broke. I ain't got no money. That doesn't work with the government, ladies and gentlemen. So, what did Reggie the Rat Wright Jr. do? This is April 3rd, 2008. What did he do? He cracked. Here it is. You have advised me that your client, Reginald Wright, wishes to speak with the United States Attorney, right, for the Central District of California, for the purposes of what? For a proffer agreement, ladies and gentlemen, involving the notorious B.I.G.'s murder. Now, like I said, this is what the people want to know. Gullible John, you want to do numbers? You got to get Reggie to talk about this. If you want to do some numbers, once again, see, what I'm trying to explain to you is this. See, this is real world stuff. All of this fictitious Tupac, and like I said, how irresponsible that one would try to implicate Tupac, who's been gone for almost 30 years, into a murder of his friend when Tupac actually spoke about it, as I just showed you. Crazy, right? But once again, we know for a fact that Reggie the Rat Wright Jr. did what? A proffer deal. April 14th, 2009, approximately 1 year and 11 days, right? 1 year and 11 days after he was charged by the bankruptcy trustee for fraud. So you know why he cracked, and he basically told. Yeah. He didn't want to go jail. He didn't want to do that 5 years and that $250,000 fine. So what did he do? He went on and called a United States attorney, and he spilled his guts. He cut a whole R&B album, y'all. He sang, is what he did, ladies and gentlemen. Look, like I said once again, you can believe what you want, and the irresponsibility of Gullible John and Reggie the Rat Wright Jr. to actually try to put up a letter that is not written by Tupac. Talking about, yeah, he crossed out the words and all of this. Once again, and admit in the beginning of it's not Tupac's handwriting. but somebody who was allowed to go somewhere and see something. And ladies and gentlemen, no. But what is real is what I just showed you. That's the difference. That's what Reggie the Rat Wright Jr. And like I said, Keith E.D., as much as people keep saying that, yeah, this person's a liar, that person's a liar, you know, Keith E.D. is lying and, you know, Suge Knight is lying. I don't know if they lying or not. Well, maybe, you know, the people who say that know something that I don't know. What I do know is, if Keith E.D. is lying, then he lied his way into the Metropolitan Detention Center in Clark County in Las Vegas, Nevada, ladies and gentlemen. That's a hell of a lie, okay? And was indicted by a grand jury, ladies and gentlemen. So if he lied on himself, man, hey, you not proving me wrong when you say that I know that Keith E.D. lying. I don't know nothing. All I know is what's been said, and I'm reporting to you what's been said. Right? Right? So just like I just gave you the information involving Reggie the Rat Wright Jr., or better yet, involving, let's go back to it, this fake letter. This ain't Tupac handwriting. How could you claim that Tupac was involved or implicate him in some kind of murder, homicide, or whatever 30 years from something that's not even in his handwriting? You can't make no case out of that, but what you can make a case out of, if one was trying to, right? Like I said, once again, that's not Tupac's handwriting. Point blank, period. It's a imitation, reproduction, or better yet, we don't know. We don't know at the end of the day. But more importantly than that, like I said, once again, this right here, this is a real legal document, ladies and gentlemen. This is a proffer agreement. You see the date. And it was the major fraud section, right? Douglas Miller, right? United States Attorney, Central District of California, y'all. This is real right here. And you see how they try to look. I'm gonna give you some game right now. Watch this. Check this out. Watch this. Watch this. You ready? You see how they try to highlight Tupac's lyrics and implicate him in the murder? Or something crazy that ain't even his lyrics, wasn't written by him. They admit that it wasn't written by him. But check this out. See this right here? See how that's highlighted right there? Oh, that's real. That's real right there. That your client, Reginald L. Wright, wishes to meet with the United States Attorney's Office for the Central District of California, right? For the purposes of what? Making a proffer in connection with the above referenced matter. Wow. And guess what? What led to the proffer deal? What led to the proffer? Was fraud. 1 year and 11 days later, after being indicted on fraud by the bankruptcy trustee, Reggie the Rat Wright Jr. then goes and he spills his guts. There it is right there. Point blank, period. You see the dates. April 14th versus April 3rd. That's 11 days, 1 year and 11 days later. And so that's what's real. Ladies and gentlemen, like I told you before, it is so irresponsible to put out some kind of letter that's not written by Tupac Shakur stating that somehow Tupac had something to do with the death of Randy Stretch Walker, when there's real documentation to prove that Reggie the Rat Wright Jr. Basically got a proffer deal. And he won't talk about that. But yet Keith E.D. has implicated Reggie the Rat Wright Jr. In connection with the assassination of Tupac Shakur also, saying that by way of Suge Knight expressed the fact that Reggie, once again, was paid. Security was compromised on that night, on September 7th, 1996 in Las Vegas. And security was also part of the plot and plan. That is by way of Keith E.D. saying that Reggie the Rat Wright Jr. was the orchestrator on ABC News. And by way of Suge Knight saying, having a conversation with Keith E.D. at the Staples Center, in which Keith E.D. corroborated that, or better yet, you can look at it either way. Suge Knight, or you could say Suge Knight confirmed it, right? Because Keith E.D. mentioned it first, and Suge Knight basically confirmed that they did talk and what Keefe D told them. But not only that, Keefe D reiterated that on ABC News just earlier this year, ladies and gentlemen. Also, in the 2009 interview that he did with the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, he's saying that Reggie the Rat Wright Jr. was in the entourage of cars right before the shooting went down. Once again, most people are trying to say, oh man, Keefe D lied. I don't know if he lied. This is what he said in a police interview. It's not up to me to decide whether he lying or not. This is what he said in 2009. And he's saying it again in 2025. And Suge is also saying it, like I said, once again, he told Reggie the Rat Wright Jr. to send more security. He didn't send it. He pulled the security off of Tupac. That matches up with what Keefe D told Suge Knight, according to Suge Knight at the Staples Center, that security was also compromised and would be paid or was paid, right, to not secure Tupac. Once again, like I said, it's not my job to find out whether, what he's saying is true. This is what they're saying that happened. Point blank, period. So when one comes out and puts out a letter like this, saying something about this confirms Tupac put a hit on somebody, ladies and gentlemen, and it's not even Tupac's actual handwritten lyrics. It's crazy. It's irresponsible. It's disrespectful. It's defamatory, right? Once again, this is not Tupac's handwriting, y'all. Point blank, period. That's not Tupac's handwriting. They admitted in the video. That should have been it. Like, this ain't Tupac handwriting. We can't go with that. Point blank, period. Right? Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, once again, I appreciate your time. And I'll say this. Please watch what kind of information that you take in. Garbage in is garbage out. Like I said, what's really real is what I just showed you. This is real. Proffer deal. This is real. Indictment for fraud. Bankruptcy fraud. That carries 5 years and a $250,000 fine. And Reggie the Rat Wright Jr. somehow skated through that by doing what? By spilling his guts. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate your time. Thank you for tuning in. Your boy Delray, straight gang.
Life is like some cards. It's not what you dealt, but how you play it. Play each situation correctly. I remember they used to laugh at a brother.